above.
Indeed it is. The wind chill is 13 below, but it is a lot nicer out today than it has been in the last several. We're joined with Tommy Lang, David Fine from the Heartlanders hockey team, back after a long 7-game road trip. That must have been fun the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it has been, guys. And I kind of teased it off the air before before you just turned the mics on, which is the last few days have been very interesting. Also, wins. The team's on a nice point streak. But I'll kind of just roll into what happened the last few days. And I'll keep it as abbreviated as and on-air friendly as possible, which is that. So Saturday night, we were going to be headed back we were in Oklahoma. We had gotten lost in overtime, so we got a point. We had won the night before. It was a good weekend for the guys, playing a little shorthanded. And so we get on the bus, and obviously the roads here were really bad on Saturday night and in Iowa. And our bus driver told us basically, hey, if you get about 50 miles south of Des Moines on 35 and you're trying to get up to here in Iowa City, like, it's going to be really tough to get back. And, we might want to consider staying the night maybe in like Kansas City. Fortunately enough, Patrick Mahomes, they decided to, dominate Miami well enough that I guess everyone just wanted to go home or not stay in the cold. There were hotels available in Kansas City, so we booked one there. This is the part where it gets crazy. That's not too crazy so far. It just is what it is. Got to stay an extra night, come the next morning. So we're about 3 miles away from where we had just played. We're 10 minutes into the ride. And a couple of the guys complained that there's a smoky smell in the back of the bus.
Oh, no.
And our bus driver said, maybe the brakes are just having some trouble. Because it was cold in Oklahoma. Like, people there were acting like it was Snowmageddon, like it was the day after tomorrow. It was 0 degrees there.
We talked about that earlier, how I traveled there after a snowstorm, and they didn't know how to do anything.
And this
clear it or anything.
Funny you say this. This will impact the second day of our story. So basically, our bus driver ran out of the bus. We pulled over on the side of the highway, the interstate. We're only 10 minutes away from where we just were. And the bus driver comes running back and said, everyone off the bus, there's smoke. I think there might be a fire. Everybody off. Mm-hmm. I've never experienced anything like this. I was described as George Costanza in the Fire episode. I did not shove any women or children out of the way like George Costanza did. I want to make that very clear. But I just hustled off. I didn't even put my shoes on, and it's 0 degrees, and I didn't have my winter coat, and same for most of the guys. It turns out there was a lot of smoke. It was from a hung brake. And it was starting to kind of flame up because it was so cold. And then when you stop, like, all of a sudden it kind of starts bubbling up.
Sure.
And our equipment manager grabbed the fire extinguisher from our bus driver and put out the smoke or the little bit of flames. He said there's about an inch of flames, which is no laughing matter.
No.
So now we're stuck on the side of the highway 10 minutes from the arena in Tulsa. It's 0 degrees out with a wind chill of -10. We're all standing there in the cold. We're kind of unsure. Is it safe to get back on the bus?
Not near any buildings that were open or anything, I assume.
No. We called 911. Our video coach, Eric, he called 911, and he called the hotel we were just at, Smart. And they said, since you guys left a little bit later in the day, we actually haven't even cleaned your rooms. Come on back. Stay the night here. We got a police to drive us back to the hotel.
Oh, nice.
We were the talk of the town.
With that many guys?
Yeah. I hopped in the front. It's actually funny because in these police vehicles, a couple of the guys, you put the seatbelts on, and then they thought they were trapped in there because, like, if you're a criminal being, you can't just undo your seatbelt and hop out of the car. Like, you're locked in back there. Anyway. So that was like, wow, we all stayed up till 2 or 3 in the morning. Like, what the heck just happened?
Right.
We're like in shock. And our equipment manager, he's a legend, Greg Angus. He put out the smoke, and we're like celebrating him like he's, a hero, and he is a hero. He put out what was a very minor little, thing. The bus, it was just a hung brake. It's about a 6-7 hour fix. Our bus driver was there. It got fixed at a 24-hour truck stop that also had a mechanic or so. It got fixed somehow. So we were planning to leave around 11 a.m. noon the next day. Well, now there's a snowstorm in Oklahoma around that time, and as we sort of mentioned, they're not necessarily as attuned to the how to best drive in the South in a snowstorm. And there's about an inch or two of snow, and We're on the highway. Now we're an hour and a half away from the rink. It's like 1:30 p.m. And all of a sudden, our bus driver goes, oh, bleep, slams on the brakes. There's standstill traffic. No one's moving. We're like, okay, what's going on? It turns out that there was actually a really, really bad accident. 4 semis, about 3 or 4 cars.
Oh, boy.
Interstate got shut down for 6.5 hours. We didn't move an inch for 6.5 hours. Mind you, we had a game on Monday. I hope everyone's okay with from that accident. We're not really sure, but it looked really bad. It was about 5 miles up. So we sat there for 6.5 hours.
So you were 5 miles away from the accident?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and they shut down the highway. It was 0 degrees out in Oklahoma, and the snow was kind of blowing around. But like, we had nothing better to do. I walked like a mile up on the highway just to walk. Like, people were going for walks. People taking their dogs out. You're there for 6.5 hours.
Yeah, been there.
It's
in Oklahoma.
In Oklahoma, right near Joplin, Missouri, about 10 miles away. So near the state line, kind of. We didn't get going until about 7:54 p.m. I have the video on my phone, and whenever the bus was celebrating that we moved, we had 8 hours left on our bus trip. We got back at 6 o'clock in the morning. We had a game 2 days ago, Monday at 4 p.m. The league let us move it back. We had a good crowd, about 2,000 fans or so, half full. And we won in come from behind fashion, 5-4 in overtime. Wow. So it ended up taking us 18 hours. We left just before noon. And we were on the bus until 6 a.m. So that's an 18-hour bus trip.
And what is it normally?
It would have been 8.5, 9 hours.
Oh, jeez.
So, and that was, remember, we were going to get back the day before, but because of the bus having the smoke and everything. So we've seen it all in the Heartland the last few days. I know it was a little bit of a long story, but we're really proud of the guys. I mean, we were down 2 goals in the third period twice to Cincinnati, and they fought back each time. We had Wendy's for dinner the night before. Guys are normally having, proteins and pasta,
sure.
But we learned that Cincinnati, because they were coming from Kansas, playing in Wichita. I called it the McDonald's versus Wendy's Bowl, because we had Wendy's and they had McDonald's. So both teams weren't exactly operating on full strength, but they didn't have they only had a 7-hour trip. We had an 18-hour trip. So really proud of the guys. And now we're home this weekend for 2 games. And you can hear it. I'm still kind of recovering my voice a little bit, because 18 hours on a bus is not great for your voice. And not great for health of a hockey player, but here we are, and we're getting ready for Friday, Saturday against Wheeling.
Well, I can only imagine how happy you guys are that you're not going on the road for a while.
Yeah, and even when you came back, you had to delay the game. Was it because of I assume the temperatures? And
the game got delayed for 2 hours because both teams were going through these travel conditions.
Oh, okay.
And the league was gracious enough to give us 2 hours for our 18 hours on the bus. So they gave us something. And we didn't want to play at like 10 o'clock at night. I mean, we moved it from 2 to 4.
Yeah, right.
We thought we would get back at midnight, which is, okay, you're going to play at 4. We got back at 6 in the morning, and it's just amazing that the guys were able to pull it together. And we were like, I remember how I felt 2 days ago, and it was like you were in a sort of like a sleepy trance, because I slept for 2 hours, 3 hours, and then you're getting ready for the game.
Yeah, so you get home at 6.
Yeah,
that's at the arena, I would imagine. Then you got, get off and everything, get home, maybe grab some breakfast on the way. So you're thinking 7, and then you got to be back, about 2 hours before game time?
Yeah, for the players, 2 hours before game time. I got out of there around 6:30. I didn't have to dig my car out. My girlfriend picked me up. Guys were digging their cars out because, remember, we had been gone.
Right. Oh, my God.
And I don't know how many guys' cars needed to be jumped because it was so cold.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not really sure what happened because the cars are outside. But I got out of there around 6:30 or 6:40, home by 7. I was asleep at 7, and now you're cold, so you can't just fall right asleep.
Right.
Fell asleep at 7:30. My alarm was for 10. I woke up at 10. I was at the rink at 10:45.
Oh, wow.
So it was and to set up for the game, and the guys got there around 2 p.m. for a 4 o'clock game. So, yeah, it was just crazy. But as I said, for the guys to be able to put on a great show, how could, even our head coach said, how could you think it could be anything other than, this just isn't going to be your day. And now going into this weekend, some momentum. Guys are feeling even better about themselves.
Oh, yeah, they got to be fired up.
Yeah.
And they're playing well, yeah. I mean,
yes.
Maybe you need to get stuck in the bus more often.
Last year, when the bus broke down only once last year, knock on wood that it doesn't happen again this year. The team won the next day after sitting on the bus for a few hours. Very different circumstance. It was 50 degrees out, and we were able to pull off the highway and get pizza and hang out. So that's a very different circumstance than what just happened a few days ago. And that trip took 7 or 8 hours as opposed to 18. So, but yeah, going back to this weekend, we have some really good promotions. The ticket sales are looking great. I know when we were on about a month ago, a caller asked, "Oh, do you have kids price tickets?" And I said it was coming, and we do. On Saturday, we have $5 youth tickets. Against Wheeling. It's a 6:05 game. It's also our mascot's birthday party, so there's going to be a lot of local mascots at the game. So a great game for kids. Kids tickets for this one, it's 17 and younger. So 18, you're an adult now officially, but $5 youth tickets with the purchase of an adult ticket. And adult tickets, cheapest adult tickets, around $15-16 on game day. So we listen to. Here's the fact. It's not just because of the caller about a month ago, but we've heard this before. We want to try this. We want to see how it does with the $5 kids tickets. And if it goes really well, we will continue to do it and do it again. And we've seen a really nice response to it. For Saturday night, where it's $5 kids tickets for 17 and younger with the purchase of an adult ticket. And again, we're psyched about it. And then on Friday night, we have specialty jerseys. We're celebrating our affiliation as the AA affiliate of the Minnesota Wild and the Iowa Wild. So we got a rival in town. We got good crowds on the way, and we're just really excited to try to continue this momentum at home this week.
So what is that going to entail as far as celebrating that relationship with those teams?
Yeah, and for us, we have a lot of players down here from that are on Minnesota Wild contracts or Iowa Wild contracts. So obviously those players will hopefully be healthy enough to play in the game. But also we have some members, from the organization that are planning to be there. We're wearing specialty jerseys, and we're not only just wearing the jerseys, we're actually wearing the full kit. So we're going to be dressed like the entire Minnesota Wild. And you can, bid on gloves. We're auctioning off the gloves. We're auctioning off the hockey socks. We're auctioning off, we have special locker plates that are like Minnesota Wild locker plates. And then that kind of leads into the weekend for our Saturday game as well against Wheeling. So it's just a night. And we have some special videos planned for the night as well. That's the last thing from members of the Minnesota Wild. So that's basically it. And then that goes into the big games, the Saturday game at 6:05 with the mascot birthday party, which is, ticket sales are going well, and it's going to be a great family-friendly night at Extreme Arena as well.
Are you allowed to disclose any of the mascots?
I'm sure Herky will be there. I'm pretty sure. Last year, actually, the star of the show, we had a mascot reach out from Wilmer, Minnesota, which is about 6 hours from here.
Oh, wow.
The Northwoods League, the Wilmer Stingers. The mascot's name was Chris P. Chicken. And
that seems disturbing.
He stole the show. So I don't have the exact list of the mascots, but we get a lot of mascots from around the area.
He's named after being eaten.
But he did great. I mean,
well, sure.
Well, what is it the Chick-fil-A things? There's the cow or something is the mascot. So I guess it's sort of adjacent to that. But yeah, there'll be a lot of mascots there. We had a few dozen last year. I'm expecting the same this year.
Yeah, I think the baseball mascots aren't real busy in January.
I wouldn't think so. No,
they're not all tied up.
So how do you get tickets?
IowaHeartlanders.com. If you forget that, you can search Iowa Heartlanders on Google or on social media. And then if you're on the front page of the website, you'll see the homepage has get tickets here. We have ticket packages, ticket deals. We still have these, they're not really holiday anymore, but 3-pack with our 3 biggest games of the year left, where you get a $25 merchandise credit as well. We have family 4-packs. IowaHeartlanders.com, or you can call the ticket office, which is 319-465-GOAL for tickets as well. And Wheeling's coming to town. If you've never seen the Wheeling Nailers, they are very disliked by the vast majority of people that have attended a Heartlanders Nailers game. We had multiple brawls against them the last few years.
Perfect for the kids.
So, last year, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. There's a lot of, as they would say in hockey, as Tommy knows, pushing and shoving after the whistle. Not as much line brawls, but extracurriculars. As was once told to me when I was getting into hockey, they're allowed to do it on the ice. You're not allowed to do it at school. You're not allowed to do it with your friends. You're not allowed to do it with someone you don't like. It's just if you go to a hockey game, they are quote unquote allowed to have some fun after the whistle sometimes.
So Tom and Ann Suter and I went to a game a few weeks ago. or that was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And we sat in the section kind of by like where the press box area is.
Yes.
And there were guys who were, I can only describe as super fans.
Yeah.
Who were loud,
Yep.
and they were into it. The one guy is like a pro wrestling manager.
Oh, Mark Corver, you're talking
there
about.
you go. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, he's our Antler Man.
Antler Man.
Yeah, Antler Man. He wears specialty stuff depending on.
Oh
the,
yeah,
the
he was
game.
dressed up.
Yes, so sometimes he wears his full American flag suit. Other times he'll wear like his camo, like hunting. See me now, you can't see me kind of suit. And he has the antler hat, which is just a baseball cap, and he has like these homemade antlers on the side. They're loud the entire game. The other group that we have occasionally, I don't know if they're going to be there this weekend. They're called the Trash Pile. Oh. They're a group of practicing. I'm not even kidding you. Practicing ministers, like they're training to become like ministers, like to be in the they're church ministers,
yeah.
And they wear cut off like white shirts so that their arms are fully exposed like pennies, and they dance and they do not swear, they do not drink, but they are as energetic, and our players like love it when they're there. They've been about 4 or 5 times this year, and they're called the Trash Pile, and their wives and girlfriends are called the Garbage Gals, and they make just as much noise. All family friendly because, of course, they're religious. So hopefully they'll be there. They're there at a lot of our Saturday
They sit
games.
the same spot, or
they move around, but they're always on the boards.
look for the guys on the boards without sleeves.
Yes.
Okay.
If they're not wearing sleeves, they're probably the trash pile. The funny thing is they also bring like extra white T-shirts with them because white T-shirts, it's just a couple bucks, and they hand them out to people who want to start like be a part of them for the night as well, which is awesome. That's one of the things about Extreme Arena that's really fun is because it's such a small 4,500 seat intimate environment for a hockey game, is that like you can see not only everything going on the ice, there's really not a bad seat in the building. And Tommy, I know you can attest that as a hockey guy, whether you're sitting in the corners 20 rows up or you're right on the glass, like there's really not.
I've sat in different places, yeah. I've always had a good seat.
Yep, and you can also then, as a result, see all the fans around you and everything, and you can hear a lot of things as well. So we're we're excited for this weekend. It's our only home games of the month. I don't think there's many other sporting events going on in Iowa City.
I was on the beard cam at the game a couple weeks ago.
Did you chug?
Was I supposed to chug?
Well, if you're on the beer cam, you just take a little
beard.
sip. Oh, I thought you said beer.
I didn't know there was a beer cam.
I've seen a beer cam before, I think, from time to time.
No, this is beard. That looks like a fake beard on you or something.
What, did you dance around with your fake beard then?
I pretended to stroke it. And then I got a text from Todd Brommelkamp, who was at the game. He's like, "Nice beard, Lang." So awesome. He was down here from Cedar Rapids for bringing his kid. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, Todd comes down to a bunch of games. He's a friend of the broadcast, friend of the Heartlanders as well, which is awesome.
He does enjoy some hockey.
Yes, exactly.
Now, I saw a faux pas at that game that we were at. A faux pas.
Like a mistake.
A mistake, not on your part or anybody from the team.
You could say it's on
a fan mistake. Because it's still second season here? Third season. Okay, third season. So you got some new people, and they're drinking their tall boys in the corner and stacking them up as a pyramid.
Pyramid.
Right on the dashers.
Oh, they do that intentionally.
Okay. And I'm looking at that going, that ain't going to wind up good.
Sure enough, it gets knocked down and everybody cheers.
Guy gets checked into the boards and boom, everywhere.
I'll be honest, when we go to other cities, the pyramid, so basically it depends on how rambunctious these people are. But they'll stack, you make a 5 or 6, sometimes 10 in a row, and you try to stack it up 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way to the top for a couple dozen beers, empty beer cans. And the players see this like they want
like a challenge.
It is a challenge. They want to knock over the pyramid. And I've seen ones Cincinnati does. They get when they have their $2 beer nights. Basically they assign every section along the glass has like a group pyramid leader, and they are intentionally trying to gather as many cans. And the fans go absolutely berserk. I'm talking if there's a few thousand people, everybody. They celebrate like there's a goal in the middle of the play when this pyramid gets knocked over, and we've done it a few times on some of our biggest nights with these pyramids. hopefully on Saturday, maybe we can get a few knocked over. So,
well, I apologize for saying that was a mistake. I did not know that was an intentional thing.
Intentional.
Just make sure they're empty, because you don't want to, drive home and just be reeking of beer on you.
I mean, some people enjoy that, but I'm with you. I would prefer that they would be empty cans as well. Otherwise, there'd be a big mess.
It was fun to watch because I knew it was going to happen. I said that thing is not going to last long, and it did not.
No, not at all. Not at all. That's awesome. I'm kind of glad you thought it was a faux pas, because then, now you know it's not. You know what I mean?
I've learned something here.
Exactly.
So the game times this weekend?
6:35 on Friday night, 6:05 on Saturday. Both games against the division rival Wheeling Nailers. Both teams are in the playoff hunt. We're 3 points out of, meaning a game and a half out of the playoff spot. Wheeling's tied with us in the division, so it's going to be a fun and competitive weekend against the Wheeling Nailers, and I'm really excited for this weekend as well.
You might not know this. Maybe this isn't your department, but is there anything that you've maybe added in the last year maybe that's really popular? Like I know they just the taco place has been there now for a couple of years.
Talking about food
or whatever, just like something at the arena that people are really enjoying. That you said, oh wow, that's a really big thing.
Yeah,
fans are enjoying.
I think the last year or so, the party. This is for bigger groups too. Like we've picked up a lot of steam where we have that party deck that's right behind. It's the Pin Seekers party deck for the place that just opened up right on the border of Tiffin and Coralville. If you have, your
the
work
golf place.
Yeah, the golf place.
I
Yeah.
see that.
That party deck has gained a lot of momentum for really big groups. And then, Tommy, like I said, because the team is under new ownership and local ownership, local sort of Iowa ownership here with Michael Devlin, who has business in New York, but also spends a lot of his time and has a lot of business in Iowa and out near Des Moines in particular. Trying things like these $5 youth tickets. We're going to announce in the next few weeks that on our country night on February 9th, I'll just say it now, we have half off domestic draft beer. These are the kind of things that we're able to do now with a very invested ownership group, where it's not just come to a hockey game. It's okay, for example, on Saturday, we have $5 youth tickets. We're going to have dozens of mascots out. We have family 4-packs. And then in a couple weeks, hey, if that's not really your thing, discounted beer night. For a bigger hockey fan on Friday, we have the affiliation night where it's cool. We're wearing the Minnesota Wild night. So I just feel like every single night now is bringing something to the table, and that's as big of anything. It's the minor league baseball model that we and everyone in minor league hockey has stolen from, but also because it works, which is that if you come to a game, hey, it's not just Wednesday night baseball, but it's Wednesday night baseball or hockey with this and this and this and all these things going on, different tie-ins for different groups. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that now it feels like every night there's something that could draw someone there beyond just, maybe I want to see my first ever hockey game. So when that happens, we see a much more not only bigger crowds, but also new fans are coming for the first time because they say, hey, I want to check it out. I want to see what it's all about, in addition to just seeing their first hockey game ever, but taking part in these promotions as well.
And the people I follow on social media who go to the games and talk about, what a great time they had. One of the things I've seen them probably the most brag about or talk about how great it was, the local breweries having their beers there.
Yeah, that's true. I completely forgot about that as well. Big Grove and Back Pocket are both parts, and we have Heartlanders specialty beer in particular with Back Pocket. Also, in the last few weeks, we partnered with Big Grove, and we've partnered with the Iowa Athletic Club as well. So not only is it right there, of course, next to Big Grove a little bit further, but Iowa Athletic Club basically attached to the arena. So we have that synergy now with these groups where, there's on a random Saturday night, you might be eating at the Athletic Club and you're seeing people perhaps getting, free tickets given away just because they're wearing your Heartlanders stuff. And they know you might be going to the game and you're getting tickets to a future game. So we really are starting to create that synergy in the Iowa River Landing that, hey, it just takes a while sometimes to develop those relationships. And now we feel like we're in a position where we're much more locally connected, particularly in the last calendar year than, the first year and a half, where we were trying to figure out kind of who are the big players, who are the big partners, and having the local ownership has really, really impacted that and helped us out a lot. So it's been wonderful.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time today.
Yeah, anything else before you go that you might want to bring up? Or?
No. Again, on Friday is the affiliation night at 6:30, and then the $5 youth tickets and the mascot birthday party for our mascot dash. And the last thing I'll say is I'm looking forward, not to, as we started this segment, not to be on a bus for 18 hours a couple days ago. So
maybe a night of sleep.
Yeah, 9 hours last night. Pretty good. Bedtime.
You had to call the game. We even brought that up. You call the games.
Yeah.
And so you had to talk.
Yeah.
For almost 3 hours.
Yeah. So basically, if you recall, I got 2.5 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
And the game took 2.5 hours exactly. Yeah. So, that's very true. I didn't think about that. As much sleep that night with the long, arduous bus travel. But yeah, it's an exciting team too. So, thank you for reminding people of that, Tommy. And I can't imagine how the players did it if the broadcaster was barely able to do it. So, a lot of coffee.